We'll talk more about the misconceptions on teams setting up and how some teams are accused of being negative, others being more positive. We have Davy Fitzgerald, the Wexford manager and former Clare manager, on the line. Davy, how are you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm not too bad, I'm not too bad. So yeah, that topic straight away, I mean, you would have been, you know, people talking about you playing a sweeper over the years, saying the team is negatively set up. What are your thoughts in general on people's misconceptions on how you set up your team?
Well, listen, firstly, everybody is entitled to their own opinion, and I totally respect that. My job is to win hurling games. I wouldn't agree with a lot of the philosophy that's out there. A sweeper, like, what is a sweeper? How different is it to how Limerick and Galway play? Kilkenny even played, like, bringing back their half-forward lines into their half-back lines, probably having the bones of 10, 11, 12 bodies behind the 65. What do? Do you leave and go back on their own? Do you open up your full back line? Do you sit your half-back line like Waterford did back the last day? There's a lot of different stuff in this, to tell you the truth, and different teams set up differently, you know?
And is there something that frustrates you when people say, oh, Davy's playing with a sweeper again, he's not ambitious enough with his team, why don't you throw the shackles off? You often hear that being said.
You know what? It actually would have before. Now, I couldn't care less.
Really?
No, I'll be honest, I don't. If you ask any of my players, like, I often hear this stuff about the way teams set up and that they're gone 6 and 6 above. I haven't seen 6 and 6 in the last 7 or 8 or 10 years even. I haven't seen it. I see wing forwards coming right back and transitioning up the field again. And you look at Limerick at the moment, and in fairness to them, I totally respect how Limerick are playing, and my hat is off to them, and I love the way they play. The lads, Tom Morrissey, Garrod Hegarty, Kyle Hayes, they all get back. They might bring Graham Mulcahy out in about 45, 50 yards, leave 2 inside. And even with Waterford sitting back the half-back line the last day, and you look at Aaron Gillane, he always manages to get that ball maybe 10 or 15 yards out to the side of him, one of the best forwards in the country. So he does, he gets the space. But they'll hit long sometimes, they'll pick it short from their half-back line, and sometimes shoot from the middle of the field. You even look at Galway in 2016. They more or less won their All-Ireland from their half-forward line. You look at where Joe Canning was most of the time. They scored so many scores from the middle of the field there. The one the All-Ireland was unreal. And I respect that. Whatever it takes for them counties to achieve it, fair play. And I think if you look at, let's look at the hurling last year. Let's look at the enthusiasm around the hurling championship. Can't be all bad when you're playing short and long ball and doing whatever. And my thing, even with the sweep or whatever it is, I think sweeper is actually the wrong word for it, tell you the truth, because I often tell you now, to tell you the truth, we'll end up with 5 backs a lot of the time playing back there, not 7. We'll encourage our lads maybe to follow the other wing forward, get up the field, have a chance of scoring. I think it was against Limerick. I look back at one of the goals that we scored against them in the league this year. I think we had 7 or 8 players inside the far 45, you know. And my thing about this whole thing is allow the players to go where they want. Don't confine them to a 30-30 box, you know.
Where did you draw the line between you used to care what people think and then all of a sudden you're like, I don't care anymore, I'm just going to play my own way and not mind what anyone says?
Well, sure, listen, if I do that myself, my old lad would fight all the time, so we would. And I actually sat down, it was very recently, I said, do you actually understand what a sweeper is, or you just listen to people? I said, do you understand it? And I went through it with him and talked about it with him. And like, before, you're right, it would have, but what's the point? Because if I buy into that, I'm not going to be true and try and get that victory that I want for my team. And let me say this, like, I won't play a sweeper. It depends what team I'm with, who I'm with, what way I need to set up. That's the way I'll play in order to try and win the game. Because,
of course, you didn't for the 2013 All-Ireland final. You went more or less man-on-man. I'm sure you had some tweaks that maybe some of us wouldn't notice, but you went straight up in that game.
Yeah, we did, and for the quarter-final and semi-final we played the sweeper, and I don't think we'd have been the All-Ireland final or won it without playing the sweeper. In the semi-final, in the final, we just felt, and I'll be straight with you at the time, we felt that they'd man-marked Tony Kelly, and if you see the first probably 2 or 3 goals we got, we pulled Tony all over the place to allow us to get into the middle, and if Cork had a sweeper that day, I don't think we'd have got probably 2 of the goals we got.
Yeah.
Tell you the truth, because we left the whole middle open by moving Tony all over the place.
Just looking at your Wexford team now, and if I note over the course of the league, I remember one time Liam Ryan, who's playing in the full back line, or named there anyway, he was inside the 21 in one game taking a shot. Matthew O'Hanlon was involved in 3 goal scoring chances against Galway when he was man-marking Joe Canning. Sean Murphy, who was named number 7, goes up, doubles on a ball and scores a goal inside the 14 as well. Yeah. So number one, it's a case that everyone has license to go forward because Kevin Foley will be back there anyway. And did it take long to convince the players that this is how you were going to play?
I actually gave the players the choice of what they wanted to do, even at the time we talked about it. Now, they get stick probably down below why you playing 7. And listen, you have to respect certain people, and certainly when we were playing back 20 years ago, there was none of this. Even into the 2000s when I was playing, there was nothing like this. But you have to look at it from their point of view. Like, you're not confined to a number 7. You're not confined to a number 2. You're allowing them, like, I listened to, I can't remember who was on the TV a few weeks ago and said that Waterford are expressing themselves by staying 3-on-3 inside. I don't know how that is. Like, I want players to be able to do what they want. If they feel they can get forward 20, 30, 40 yards and it's on and the space is there, go after it. Don't be afraid. And someone else will pick up the slack back to back, you know. Like, there is free players all over the field at different times that can move into different positions, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I did, after Joe Canning got injured the other day, and, you know, it was first reported that he had a dead leg, and then Galway came out and clarified it. But I put a poll up on Twitter saying, who do people think is most likely to win the Leinster Championship now? And it was Kilkenny first, then it was Galway with 30%, Kilkenny with 36%, Dublin 27%, and 7% for Wexford. And Rory O'Connor, who was being interviewed yesterday, spoke about how he thought that was unusual that people are overlooking Wexford. Do you think people, like, in the race for Championship silverware, overlook Wexford this year? Because you had a pretty good league.
No, I'm very happy with the league, but sure, listen, it's the same thing again, and as I said, sure, maybe that would have bothered me a few years ago. It doesn't now. I know on our day, like, we played Kilkenny the last 2 years in the Championship. There's been a score in it either way. We won 1, they won 1. Galway, like, it's been tight enough on numerous occasions. Dublin, we know, I actually think are in great form. And trust me, Carol are going to cause problems no matter what the story is, and I'd have massive respect for them. So, I think we have a chance. But listen, I'm happy enough. Whatever people want to think, that's fine. But you know what? When the Championship starts, it's all to play for, and I think Leinster is massively competitive, and I'm looking forward to it.
Davy, I was chatting to Rory O'Connor at a kind of a press gig yesterday in Dublin, and he said his Wexford call-up before the leaving cert was kind of an interesting one. Can you just talk us through that? I believe you gave him a text, and I don't think he thought it was you, he was texting back.
That's right, yeah. It took the second to convince him who it was, you know. And listen, we didn't want to touch him in the first year because of the leaving. We wanted to leave him as long as possible. But that was actually quite funny. But no, it was great to get him on board. Like, he was very young, in fairness, to bring in. But you know what? He thrived in that stage when he came on the very first year against Waterford.
David, just looking ahead then to the season in broad terms as well. It's your 3rd season. Obviously, the players went to you to try and make sure you'd stay on for this season. What do you want to get from this season?
Well, listen, first of all, like, probably I'm as happy with the National League as I ever would. And I have to say, okay, it was a great structure, but I'm actually more happy with the structure that's coming. I think it'll be better and more evenly balanced for all the top teams and for everyone. We got 3 great victories, so really happy with that. To beat Cork, Tip and Kilkenny in the league was good. The only match was probably the second half against Galway for whatever reason, I don't know. They took over on us and that, but we had a really good first half. What would I like? Sure, listen, we've got to win a few of these Championship games and see where we can go. If we play with the enthusiasm and the fight, then we have a chance. But I'll be straight with you, the most important thing is the Dublin game. I know Dublin are eyeing it up big time, and I certainly think they've made massive strides again this year under Matty. He knows what he's about, and even against Limerick, I was impressed, even though some people said it was very negative. Like, they brought out their half-forward line. Tomas Limerick bringing back their half-forward line. So naturally, what's going to happen in the middle of the field is you're going to have a lot of players in the middle, that middle third.
Davy, just shifting back to Limerick for a second, I suppose having worked with Paul Connacht for a good few years, it's probably no surprise to you what they're doing. Can you just tell me exactly what he brings to the table?
I know Paul is, like, he's as good a coach as I've ever come across. Like, and he's a very smart guy. Like certain things I know we would have done, like we'd have talked a lot back in 13 and 14 and 15. Like I can. That was Paul's first senior job, was with Clare. He had done minor and under 21. Like I would be a big man into formations and trying different bits and pieces, and Paul would be very much the same wavelength. Like there's nothing that he wouldn't try and have a go at, and I think that's very important. Like you might often see them like bringing in their forwards into the centre and leaving a lot of space outside. Yeah, that's something that we would have done and that we like doing. I suppose the thing of bringing back your half forward line, I suppose rather than sitting someone back, he's very smart to realise, and Paul was probably a serious footballer himself, and that would be often the way they would play, as well as bringing back your half forward line and building, you know.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Davy, for joining us today, and best of luck with the season ahead.
Thanks, lads. Take care.